Hi guys, just quickly let everyone know I'm live. I don't know why I always forget to tell everyone I'm live. I'm not awake yet, I'm still half asleep. So we're going to speak about the author of Destined to Die Young. Now I love her book. I've watched loads of her interviews. I'm just quickly telling everyone. Okay. Right, sorry about that. Okay, let's go. I need to wake up, so I got myself a giant cup of tea. Now, this Sally Hoddle interview, the author of Destined to Die Young, I wasn't even going to watch it, guys. I wasn't even going to watch it. I saw it come up on my feed. Didn't think much of it. Morning, Sherry. Now, I'm surprised I'm doing this video because I think her book has done so much good for Elvis. It really has. I've watched loads of her interviews. She seems brilliant. Hi, Angela. It is, so you know, it's 7:43 a.m. in the UK. So good morning to Angela in Michigan. Now, I can't express just how good Sally Hoddle's book is about, that's called Destined to Die Young, which really breaks into why Elvis was just so unwell, why he needed so much medication. It really goes into the history. Before Elvis, all the inherited genetical problems, the fact that Elvis was very unwell even as a child. So I love that book because it explains to us in detail why Elvis had to take so many pills, so much prescribed medication, over 40 pills a day. It explains why he became so unwell, especially in his 30s and early 40s. Hi, Philomena. So the book has done Elvis a lot of good because one, people are calling him a drug addict, like a street type drug addict, the type of addict that just wants to get high. This book helps shut people up and go, oh, maybe there's another story. Maybe there's another truth. Maybe he didn't just want to get out of it, stoned, spaced out, whatever you want to call it. People start thinking, oh, well, if that's true, then what if it's true that he needed his medication? Then maybe the things that we've been spoon-fed for the last 40 years are also not true. Because it casts doubt. I think when we hear the truth about Elvis, and to do with his prescribed medication through Sally Hoddle's book, and many videos that tell us the truth about how unwell Elvis, how chronically unwell Elvis secretly was because he kept it a secret. I think this is what defending Elvis Presley is all about. Defending Elvis Presley is about reading between the lines. And the fans are not stupid. This is what I've learned. Now, remember, I became defending Elvis Presley because of the fans. It was you guys reaching out to my videos and saying, no, you're getting this wrong. There is another agenda. There is another truth. And at first I pushed back. At first I was like, no, I believe the fairy tale. I had fallen for the fairy tale of the marriage with Priscilla and Elvis. Yeah? I fell for all this stuff on here. I thought that the reason Elvis and Priscilla broke up was because Elvis was unfaithful and that he took drugs. I also believed that Elvis had been with a girl that was much too young, 14. It's only when I started being told off by you guys, then I started realizing, oh, Elvis never had sex with a 14-year-old. In fact, she didn't move to America until she was nearly 18. Then I started learning, oh, Elvis didn't take drugs to get high. Yes, he needed sleeping tablets. Yes, he had uppers, going way back to the army years. But I'm on about very serious drugs that get you high. You just take them just for the sake of being stoned. Then I started understanding Elvis is in a lot of pain, a lot of discomfort. He had serious constipation. He had something wrong with his colon. He had a twisted colon. He had something not right with his liver, even breathing difficulties. He had extreme migraines. He had glaucoma. And I bit by bit started, oh, right. He was desperate to feel better, to get through the days, especially in his later years, late 30s. Then this started me looking at the things that were being said about Priscilla, because I believed, hi Nadia, hi Philomena, I believed, as many of you fans may have done once, I believed, and I'll read a comment that was read to me this morning. I believe, remember, I had my mind changed. And the reason I changed my mind is through the comments that I received. And I had a comment. Right, let's have a look. That Priscilla should should be given credit for promoting Gracelands. This is one comment I had. Now, I was like that. I thought that Priscilla had saved Graceland from being sold and that it was her idea to launch the museum. Now, it wasn't until I did my homework and started to understand. Philomena, you're right, and we're going to go through this now, Philomena. I believed many things that, in my opinion, are not correct. One of them is that Priscilla spent her life promoting Elvis because she truly loved Elvis and that she wanted to save his legacy. And if it wasn't for that, Elvis would be forgotten. This is, to me, this is complete rubbish. But this is how we were spoon-fed. I had another comment. The other comment was that Priscilla has never said anything bad about Elvis. I just find that ridiculous. I find that ridiculous. If anybody goes back through, if anyone goes back through the interviews, and of course, I'm talking about the earlier interviews in the 80s, the 90s, the noughties. Priscilla, in a very indirect, in my opinion, very sly way, uses the interviewer to say the bad things. This is what I've always said in so many comments, that Priscilla is extremely smart. She's a very clever lady. So she'll say as little as possible. She'll let the interviewer ask the negative questions because she knows she'll sit there and say loads of nice things about Elvis, how great he was. But then she knows that the interviewer will play into her hands, and she toys with the interviewers. Oh, you were 14. Oh, did he have a bad temper? Did he take drugs? Was he unfaithful? And they'll start asking. She knows the interviewers want the juicy comments. And this is her opening. This is how Priscilla has got away, in my opinion, with 40 years of saying negative things without actually saying them. Because a lot of the time it was, oh, yes, and nodding her head. Oh, he couldn't help it. Yeah, the drugs were a problem. Yeah. And, oh, you know, he had so many girlfriends. Yeah, he couldn't help himself. He was a superstar. But the interviewer has thrown in that negative question, and the whole world that's watching are thinking, oh, everything's Elvis's fault. Priscilla was the victim. And this is, to me, very clever trickery on Priscilla's part in interviews, on my opinion. So I could play you 100 interviews now that make Elvis look bad. And 90% of the reason Elvis looks bad is the way that she was questioned. But she knew before she walked into the room, she knew the questions that were going to be asked were going to make Elvis look bad. No matter how many good things she says about Elvis, the things that are remembered are the negative things that are brought up. Barbara Walters is a great example. That interview that she does, which I think is so cruel to Elvis, that makes him look like a prisoner. No, sorry, makes her look like a prisoner in Graceland that was groomed. The Barbara Walters interview makes her look like Elvis forced her how to dress, how to wear her makeup, how to walk, how to act, how to even think. And it's not true. It is not true. Barbara Walters brought that up and Priscilla went along with it. Now, this is just my opinions, but you watch the interviews. And Priscilla doesn't go, oh, no, that isn't true. Oh, no, that's not true. No, she agrees. She even says she'd lost her identity. She'd lost her sense of self. When the truth is, she got bored of Elvis, in my opinion, and she wanted to go off and sow her oats, spread her wings. Priscilla wasn't the young, naive girl that Elvis met in Germany that he was only friends with for 3 or 4 months. There was no relationship. They were close friends. And then Elvis went back to his life, making movies, doing the Frank Sinatra special, making albums. And that was Elvis's life. And then Priscilla was very persistent. And eventually, when she was nearly 18, managed to get to Graceland. And she entered Elvis's world in Graceland. Elvis had girlfriends. He was making movies. He was the most famous man in the world. He had a massive career. He had bills to pay. He was going to get on with his life. Yeah. And eventually that moves on to when she's nearly 22. They get engaged. They have a child. And then she's unfaithful just after Lisa Marie is born. Then she's unfaithful again in 1971 with Mike Stone. So this is what annoys me about Sally Hoddle's video. Yeah, the lady that wrote the book Destined to Die Young. And she speaks very highly of Elvis. But then she tells the fans off. I would say that she belittles the fans. Now, Elvis fans. Now, I agree. I don't like hate. I don't like to be hateful. I don't like hate. But in my opinion, that Sally Hoddle interview was so unfair because, in my opinion, she basically says, look, we all love Elvis. He's great. But let's not say anything negative about, I think she's talking about Priscilla and the Memphis Mafia and Colonel Tom Parker. She basically says, let's not talk negatively about the Memphis Mafia, Colonel Tom Parker and Priscilla, because that's just not right. Now, well, first of all, I just think Sally Hoddle has no right to think that her opinions are history, are actual fact. Now, if she thinks we don't have the right to speak up about the wrongdoing that happened to Elvis from our opinions, she's entitled to think it. But as soon as you go on YouTube and post a video telling us off, I feel that Sally Hoddle posted a video telling us off, saying you should not be doing this. And she has no right to do that. And I'm going to go through it with you guys. I don't like, look, I'll be straight with you guys. I don't like comments that are very hateful about anybody, not just Priscilla. But I do like comments that give me very decent, a real great breakdown of your views. So if someone says to me, oh, I don't like Priscilla because this happened, that happened, this happened, and the reasons are good, I'm like, yeah, this is how we found out the truth about whose idea it was to open Gracelands. It's not hateful to Priscilla that we have found out that it wasn't her idea to not sell it. It's not hateful to that we found out that about the second divorce settlement. Yeah. Now the second divorce settlement to Elvis was one of the most horrible things that I've read about. Of everything I've learned about Elvis, the second divorce settlement was cruel. Now I have strong views about that. It doesn't mean I hate Priscilla. It doesn't mean I'm being hateful. I don't hate Priscilla, guys. This is not a hate channel. But what it does mean is this. I will expose the truth. That's why we're here. That's why we're called Defending Elvis Presley. Fans want the truth. Because we dig in, we look at the facts, we dig in and go, right, what's not right here? What's not fair here? So, guys, never let anyone tell you what to think or say when you're talking about your views about the wrongdoing that happened to Elvis. That's why we're here, guys. And there's quite a few channels. And Sally Hoddle, she more than one time basically tells the Elvis channels off that are saying negative things about Priscilla mainly, I would say. And she has no right to do that. She has no right to say to the Elvis fans and the Elvis channels that defend Elvis, like Rhonda, like Shauna, like Elvis Rare Photos, Elvis I'm the Man, I could name many. We all defend Elvis, but we don't just defend Elvis through hate. We defend it through truth and facts. And I just found the whole interview very patronizing. I really did think, I wasn't expecting it, to be honest with you. The whole thing was patronizing. And I'm not trying to make Elvis out to be a perfect person or a perfect human being or an angel. I know he made many mistakes. There was wrongdoing from Elvis, but we're not stupid. We are not stupid. Yeah, we know the rights and the wrongs. And I'm telling you now, guys, Priscilla Presley being unfaithful with Steve Peck, the dance instructor, Gregory Peck's son, the 39-year-old man who owned a dance studio, Priscilla Presley being unfaithful with him just after Lisa Marie was born is wrong. And if we fans want to mention it and bring it up in our defending Elvis Presley, that's completely our right, and it doesn't make us hateful. It does not make us hateful. Now, I'm not stupid. Many of you hate Priscilla. I know that, and that is your right. But this isn't the purpose of our channel. The purpose of our channel is to get to the truth, and we are getting to the truth. We're doing it slowly. People like Rhonda and Shauna are getting to the truth. Yeah, it doesn't have to be hate. So anyway, I just want to read a couple more comments. Then I'm going to play some of Sally Hoddle's video, and we're going to go through it. Now, so one of the comments given to me was give Priscilla some credit because she promoted Graceland. Now, no, I won't. And I'll tell you why I won't. Because I know how, behind the scenes in the 80s, how she maneuvered herself to a position of power. This is what the whole of my video was about yesterday. That things went on, and what's his name? I always forget his name. I think I wrote it down somewhere. Things went on behind the scenes with Jack Sodden and is it Morgan Maxfield? And with the deed of trust that gave Priscilla the lien. Yeah. So the charge on Graceland, Elvis's home. Things went on that gave her a position of power that maneuvered her into a position where she could promote the business. Let's face it, Priscilla promoted Graceland so that it would make more money. Obviously, she was a beautiful woman. Most of the public had fallen for the fairy tale of the marriage. Most of the public thought that the reason the marriage went wrong is because Elvis was unfaithful to Priscilla and that Elvis had a drug problem. Yeah? So when the truth is, the reason their marriage went completely wrong is because she was unfaithful to Steve Peck, the dance instructor, just after Lisa Marie was born. And then 2 years later, she sought out Mike Stone and was unfaithful with Mike Stone, the karate instructor. That's why the marriage failed. I personally think if those two things had not have happened, I think their marriage may have worked. So we as fans just want to, we're actually trying to stop the blame being pointed at Elvis all the time. Why is Elvis always the victim? Why is it always Elvis's fault? So this comment I received saying, give her credit for promoting Graceland. You have to understand what got her to that point. What put her on that pedestal, the podium. What actions happened secretly behind the scenes. Memphis Council, Memphis City, and Vernon were already planning the Living Museum. It was already being planned. And Todd Slaughter, the president of the UK fan club, he was taking tours around gravestands in the late 70s, just after Elvis died. So Elvis was already being used as a living museum before Priscilla had this so-called idea, which was not her idea, by the way. Now, Morgan Maxfield, just want to make sure I've got his name right. The guy that she was engaged to, yeah. Not many of you know about this. She was engaged to an investor called Morgan Maxfield, and plans were drawn up. There was a possibility that he was going to buy Gracelands, but he definitely wanted to push the idea of a living museum at Gracelands. And unfortunately, he died in a plane crash, and she was engaged to him just before, I think, before the plane crash. So what I'm saying is that these people were all planning. They were all planning the living museum. It was not Priscilla's idea. The decision that was made to not sell Gracelands, she may have been involved in that decision, but she wasn't the only one. There was a very large bank involved, and there were people on behalf of the trust that were making decisions. So, and Vernon wanted to do a living museum, and even Colonel Tom Parker wanted to do a living museum a couple of years before. So no, she shouldn't take credit for promoting Gracelands. She promoted Gracelands because for a start, she had the power, the leverage, because of the deed of trust, the lien, the charge that was placed on Graceland, and because she was the mother of Lisa Marie Presley, and Vernon, obviously, just before he passed, had allowed her to step into his shoes. So many things fell into place that put Priscilla at the top, the boss. And in my opinion, I think some of those things weren't fair, weren't right, weren't correct. Yeah, Nadia.